Hi YouTube, this is Raven from Raven's New Life. In one of my videos I talked about suicide as a manipulation tactic. My narcissistic husband used suicide with a loaded shotgun to his mouth as a manipulation tactic. It was meant to scare the living daylights out of me, to control me, to put fear. I know now that normal people don't put a loaded shotgun in their mouth to win an argument. Especially an argument that's about nothing. They don't tear up the bedroom. They don't rip the mattress off of the bed with you in it and pound it and scream at the top of their lungs. They just don't do that. But, you kind of make excuses sometimes for the people that you love or the people that you think care about you. And I talked about how my number one mistake was trusting him. I trusted that he had my best interests at heart. He had the children's best interests at heart. When in reality, going through a crisis, the narc's number one priority is themselves. They're going to do whatever, they're in survival mode. They're going to do whatever they can to protect themselves. And the mistake number two I made was not documenting everything, not assuming that a case was being built against me. Because there again, this is the person that I love, and I assume he loves me back, so why would I ever record a phone conversation? Why would I save emails or texts? I just wouldn't do that. But a suspicious person will. And what happened is that he was in the mental hospital, he called it the loony bin, for about 4 days. And the mental hospital was 45 minutes from where we lived. I had a second shift job. And I had 2 young children to take care of, so I couldn't just drop everything to go visit him. But, he would call me at night, and he would assure me that everything's going to be all right, I'm going to get the help that I need, I'm going to go live with my sister for a while, and everything's going to be okay, I promise. And, I believed him. I was very naive, I believed everything he said. What I didn't realize was that he had family and friends visiting him the entire time. And he was telling them a different story about how I was the manipulative bitch that drove him to suicide. He's the victim, poor douchebag. That's what I call him, douchebag, DB for short. So I was unaware that any of this was going on. And he came home from the mental hospital and with his parents, and he packed a bag and said, "I'm going to stay with my parents for a couple days and try out the new hot tub." And he sounded just like he was going on vacation. I remember thinking, you just got out of the mental hospital from putting a loaded gun in your mouth, trying to kill yourself, and now you're talking about going on vacation to try out the new hot tub? But, I put that red flag aside, because I was working full-time, taking care of 2 kids. So he went away for 2 days. Now, I had no idea that the 2 days he was gone, he was lawyering up. He was, lawyer shopping. He was researching the laws in our state about divorce and about child custody. And he was putting a plan in place, and I didn't realize that. So he came back on Friday and said, "I want to take the children out for Mexican." And I said, "You can't take the children out. I don't trust you right now. I'm worried that you're a danger to them or yourself. You're going to have to go with somebody." And he was mad about it, but he agreed to do it anyways. And I think that was a smart move on my part, because I think if he had taken the children with him out to eat, he might not have brought them back. But since he had his parents with him, he had to pretend to be above board, and he was the good guy. So when he took the kids out for Mexican that night, he announces to our 9-year-old and our 6-year-old, "Your mother and I are getting a divorce." And this is the first time I had heard, because in the entire week he'd been saying, "We're going to work everything out, everything's going to be good, honey, it's sweetheart, everything's going to be fine, it's going to work out." But he told our children we were getting a divorce before he told me, his wife of 16 years. So when my daughter came home and he dropped them off and left, and my daughter said, "Mom, are you guys getting a divorce?" And I told her, "I don't think so. What makes you think that?" "Well, Dad said you are." So I got mad at that point, and I called him up. And I said, "What is this about us getting a divorce? You tell our children we're getting a divorce before you tell me?" "Shh, quiet, honey. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right." I was no, everything's not going to be all right. I've been here for a week taking care of your children and, working full time while you're, at your parents' house sitting in a hot tub, smoking cigars and drinking whiskey, and apparently planning to divorce me. You're overreacting, sweetheart. You're overreacting. I was like, I'm not overreacting. Shh, listen to me, listen to me. He was being very condescending, and I got mad at that point. And I said, no, you're not listening to me. You're gonna listen to me. Well, at that point, he hung up. And he texted my mother and said, you need to call Raven. She's hysterical right now. And I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was taping that conversation. Because 2 months later, he would file an affidavit saying that he demanded a jury trial because I am physically and verbally abusive to him, and that because of that, I had committed marital misconduct and he did not need to pay alimony. Well, the only thing that he said that he had evidence of this was a conversation that he had recorded on his phone. And the only conversation I can think of that even would remotely sound like I'm out of control and crazy would have been that conversation. And he's held this over my head for a year now. At some point, if we have the jury trial, I'm sure I'll get to hear it. But I've never heard this conversation. I don't know what this mysterious conversation is that he claims to have. I just assume it's that one. But my point is that you need to document. If you're going through a divorce from a narcissist, from an abusive or manipulative person, you need to assume that a case is being built against you, that every word you say, everything you do, you're going to have to explain to a judge. Even if, like my reaction, that I think was more than reasonable, that, hey, I'm being told I'm getting divorced, through my 9-year-old. But in his mind, that's proof that, I've committed marital misconduct, and he thinks that it proves to the world that I'm a bitch. So, document everything. Assume that a case is being built against you. Even if you think, if the narc is telling you, oh no, everything's going to be all right. Everything's fine, honey. Shh, I'm going to take care of everything. Don't believe them. I know that I sound like I'm lecturing you, but don't trust them. Don't trust them. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I didn't document things. I know now to be as vanilla as possible when I send an email to him or a text. Be as boring as vanilla. People call it gray rock. That you're as boring as a gray rock. Don't do anything to incite them. Just be as vanilla and plain in your communication as possible. Like I said, document everything, text, email. Even if you think that it's not important, document it, keep it anyways. You never know. Well, that's all for now. Be vigilant if you're going through a divorce. I'm sorry if you have to go through that. I understand what you're going through, but be vigilant, be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.